Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome award-winning, multi-platinum country music icon and star of the upcoming Fox series Monarch, Trace Adkins.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.
RICMOTECH, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, RICMOTECH.com.
The following is an All-Star 15 TV production. Hello everybody and welcome to All-Star 15 TV for round number 9 of the XMS RICMOTECH Truck Series. We are coming to you live from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We're doing 175 laps, which means it's 175 miles, with a stage caution at lap 60. just to give you guys a little bit of background knowledge for what our notes are saying. Season 17, race number 4, May 11th, 2021. 3 leaders, 4 lead changes, 12 cautions for 48 laps. The pole was won by James Holzer, and the winner was James Holzer, leading 117 of the 142 laps run. But joining me up in the broadcast booth, the Daytona Cup Series from last year's champion, it's Brandon Stroker.
How are you doing, AJ?
I'm doing pretty good, pal. Happy to finally be not under the weather anymore. Happy to also see a crud ton of people watching online. But dude, you ran some laps here during practice, and you found out a couple things. Real quick before we talk to our pole sitter Justin Opplinger, what'd you find out?
Well, I definitely found out from going out there that it's a good thing I hung it up because I would not be doing super well. But the winner of this race is going to be the person who's able to maximize their equipment and be as smooth as RICMOTECH.
Dude, I like throwing the the series sponsor in there. But let's do it. Let's talk to our pole sitter in the staging room and bringing them up to the broadcast booth. It's Justin Opplinger with tonight's pole at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. How's it feeling out there, and what does it look like from a truck getting around the Magic Mile?
Oh man, it's pretty tough to start off here. The first few laps, I'm sure you guys might see a few people getting loose, probably spinning. Turn 2 is really tricky when the tires are cold. So really just trying to survive these first few laps, but I think we'll have a good truck today, and we'll try and bring it home for a win.
All right, brother. Well, good luck, and hopefully we'll talk to you at that lap 60 stage caution.
Yep, thank you.
That's Justin Opplinger, everybody. Brandon, what do you got for us?
Well, so as I was alluding to, this racetrack, he was saying that the tires, whenever they're cold, is really difficult to get a grip of the car, and I definitely found that when I ran some practice laps myself. These tires are really cold, and you have to be aggressive on your braking and your entry, but you can't burn them up too much, and you can't let yourself get loose. It's really squirrely, and you've got to be able to rotate the center of the corner and get a runoff, which means you've got to figure out that balance of what your truck needs and what you need to perform, and not let those boundaries cross.
All right, well, let's run down our starting lineup, brought to you by the Wrestling with Nerds podcast. On your pole, we just talked to him. It's the driver, the number 51 Chevy Silverado, Justin Opplinger. Outside pole, it's Scott Ramler. In row number 2, Matt Cochran and Aiden Turner. Kyle Miller, Dalton Fredericks in row 3. Row 4 has Paul Irving and Mike Rominger. In row 5, rounding out that top 10, it's Caleb Lamb and Joshua Vidal. Mike, take us to 20, please.
So going to 20, we got Trevor Klein in the 55 and Logan Koger in the 25. Following the next row in 13th and 14th, we've got Caleb Bacon and Mike Campeggio. In 15th and 16th, we've got Michael Thwaites and Ben Corson. In the following row, we've got Brant Humphrey, Daniel Krim. Rounding out your top 20, we got Christopher Opplinger and Christian DeBauer.
All right, and then Dustin Carroll in 21st, Hunter Hastings 22nd, 23rd, Joe Darnell, 24th, Ed Morris Sr., and Derek Bacorn is going to round out shotgun on the field. It looks like Dalton Fredericks is possibly missing the start of tonight's race. Interesting.
That is definitely interesting. He's a playoff contender, if I do remember correctly. Is that right?
Yes, he is, and I think we should be going green here. If not, we'll bring up those point standings and team standings for you. And there goes the pace truck. We are gonna go green. Waiting for Barney the flagman. There it is, green flag in the air, and we are away at New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the XMS RICMOTECH Truck Series. Flying down into turn number 1 for the first time.
When we've already got trouble in turn 1.
That looks like Daniel.
Looks to be 47 car.
Oh!
That looks like there was a stack up there. It looks like the 54 car may have gotten into the 72 truck there. Is that what you're seeing, AJ?
Oh, we're going to drop it back to that 72 of Brant Humphreys to get a better look at all this. Oh, no, it's the 72 that just doesn't check up for the rest of the field. Smacks the 12, and the 12 smacks the 47 on the outside. Let's actually jump on board with that 72 via our roof cam. You can see the 6 immediately get out of line, and boom.
Yeah, and I apologize saying it was the 54 car. You're right. The 54 car had to check up there and dig it into the 72, but that was after the contact was made. I think these drivers just got nervous on cold tires. A couple of them checking up more than they may have needed to, and the back of the pack, just that accordion effect.
Yeah, and already we're seeing some drivers electing to come to pit road. Not just drivers involved into this wreck, but enough to where I'm starting to think that they're going to try to stretch it as close as possible to that lap 60 stage.
Yeah, I think hitting this early, I think it has to be fuel only as your move. Ultimately, tires and the fall off is not super extreme at this point, considering we've gone not even a whole lap.
Yep.
And you're not going to get a huge advantage unless you're working to the end of the stage.
Yeah, and that's really what I'm thinking. I think that we have two races going on right now. The race, fuel mileage-wise, to the stage, and then afterwards it's going to be the tire saving, possibly to the 175 marker. But we are under our first Elite Entertainment LLC caution flag of the evening. Opplinger, Ramler, Turner, Cochran, and Rominger, your top 5. But let's bring out those points that we kind of alluded to right before we went green tonight. Opplinger, your points leader by a very healthy 40-point margin over Daniel Krim in second. Dalton Fredericks in third. Paul Irvin in fourth. Then you have Ed Morris in fifth. Mike Rominger in sixth. Seventh, Michael Thwaites. 8th, Josh Vidal. Jake Bustos in 9th. Joe Darnell in 10th. So with all that being said, the drivers you really don't have to worry about tonight are Justin Opplinger, Dalton Fredericks, Caleb Bacon, Ed Morris, and Scott Ramler. It is a win and you're in format. So you could take those drivers I just mentioned, push them aside. But we are only taking 12 to the playoffs. So we already know 5 that are guaranteed to make it as we're starting to grid up, getting ready to go green once again. But after tonight, after New Hampshire, we're going to Talladega, Brandon. And with Talladega, you are looking at a very much equalizer racetrack where anybody can win.
It's not just an equalizer for winning, it's an equalizer for chaos as well. That is a racetrack you have to survive if you want to make it into the playoffs. Not just winning you're in, but you have to survive. And people on the close end of that bubble spectrum, they're the ones that are going to need to survive the most.
Hey, Zach on TikTok, appreciate you for following. But there goes the iRacing official pace truck. And we are green once again. Great launch by the 51 as we saw before, but it looks like we're going to have somebody try to send it 3 wide. It's at 25 of Logan Kogar. Makes it work right in front of Mike Rominger. He's going to still shadow it to the inside. Brandon, what do you got, pal?
I do want to make sure that we make mention that the 72 truck was given an EOL for that last caution there. We do have a truck that lost connection, so they've gone a couple laps down, but are going to be coming back in Kyle Miller.
All right. And it looks like Dalton Fredericks has made it onto the racetrack. He is multiple laps down, so he's going to have the work cut out for him. But if we can get a couple yellows for him, he will make his way back up towards the front.
A couple of quality drivers that are going to be a lap or two down early with minimal to no damage on their vehicles. They're going to be fighting to try and get some of those lap down spots and really hoping that they're going to have a race that is a caution fest. That way then they are able to get those lucky dogs and continue to move forward in the pack.
But up front, that 51 has completely set sail over Scott Rambler, already looking at almost a 1.5-second lead as they enter turn number 3. But Rambler's got Logan Kogar and Mike Rominger starting to breathe down his neck as it looks like Kyle Miller is coming off of pit road.
We are seeing some good battles a little bit further back in the pack. I know for second and third is a great side-by-side battle, but when you get back towards 7th and 8th, they're jostling for position for sure in what it is that they're trying to get in just a little bit of racing room and trying to have that ability to save their tires, but also gain as much as they can when they're all tightened up.
Yeah, absolutely, Brandon. Great call there as we're staying with that 7th, 8th, and 9th place battle. As you see the 92 of Dustin Carroll, who's plus 11 spots from the start of this race. And mind you, our first caution came out going into turn number 1, so all those positions gained are right here in the first 2 or 3 laps of this run.
These drivers are going to try and figure out if they want to get strung out or if they want to try and battle while they're in close positions. Because again, when I was out here running practice laps, the importance was saving your equipment. You have to figure out how to roll the center, have the best line to roll the center. Because if you're trying to compensate your speed by getting on the gas really hard or over braking, you're going to burn your equipment. And if this goes long, like it's looking like it's going to, you got to have equipment later on in the run.
Yeah, it very much could go long tonight. We've seen both sides of the coin here at New Hampshire in races past in multiple leagues here on the channel, where we've seen turn 2 and turn 4 bite a lot of people, and then we've seen almost maybe 1 or 2 cautions throughout a full 200-lap race. We've seen both sides of the spectrum, but back to that 7th position, Matt Cochran trying to stop the bleeding. That number 4, who's usually good at these mile and under racetracks, early on has lost 3 positions and has the 35 of Caleb Bacon starting to breathe down his neck as it looks like that 4, as I said, something has stepped on the gas again.
Yeah, I'm not super worried about giving him a few positions here at the start. While drivers are trying to push forward, I mean, I can see the drivers that are in front of them that are trying to essentially gain an advantage, but they're going to burn up their equipment so quick.
Yeah, and tires are very much going to be a premium here this evening. You get 5 sets. So the ones you start on and 5 in the pit box, you're looking at a fuel run anywhere from that lap 50 mark to lap 58 mark, depending on how good you are at saving. And there's barely any banking, as you guys can see at the racetrack, from anywhere from 2 right at the line to 7 at the top. And I've walked this racetrack before. It doesn't look like there's a lot of banking, which there isn't. But when you're walking the track, you feel like you're walking up a slight hill.
Well, and the drivers that are tightening up their exit, as all of you viewers who are watching, if a driver is getting as low as possible on exit down into that first lane or onto the apron, they are absolutely going to burn up their equipment the quickest. So they may be fast here at the beginning and putting on a great show for us, which we appreciate. But it's those long run cars that are going to be able to come back a little bit on the high side and overtake later on.
This is your first time here on the channel as we're seeing a pass for 3rd place. Rominger has really come alive these last couple laps, trying to make that pass for 3rd place. Hit that like button, subscribe, follow. Hell, join the comment sections. I'm viewing them from everywhere. So if you want to come talk to us, ask any questions. I know Brandon will answer any questions about how the track feels, how the car feels.
Oh, we have a wreck on the front stretch. Caleb Lamb. And as you were getting done, I was going to say something that we needed to go back and check out that battle because Caleb was apologizing on the radio and he was bumping and banging side by side. I think it's just what it is. You're trying to figure out how to get the most on the exit of that corner, and the car on the outside is going to want to tighten you down there. But with your run on that low side, you're going to burn your equipment if you don't slide up and try and get the push off, and they just come together.
Under our second Elite Entertainment caution of the night, on board with the 92 of Dustin Carroll. Oh yeah, not really much can be done about that. But look who not getting involved. The 20 of Dalton Fredericks.
Well, it looks like one of those drivers are going to be able to gain a lap back and start making that trek to move forward, which the way that race was looking, they need to hope that keeps happening to be able to get some of these laps back.
On board with the 77 here. Kind of see it happening.
And that's just two drivers going for the same real estate, and a driver essentially having to check up and not checking up in time when there's contact. I can let you know that Race Control has given the EOL to the 92 truck, which is the vehicle that was behind the 77 as he was making contact with that other vehicle. I'm
kind of shocked by that, just off of how squirrely the 77 was. I didn't think there was anything the 92 could have done there. Even if he were to have backing out, I still think it was a little late. But we are going to go side by side so you guys don't miss a thing, but we're going to pay some bills. Say hello to our sponsors.
From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info
Racing
today.
Isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We're back, everybody. The second Elite Entertainment caution coming to an end. And green flag back in the air. Joe Darnell in the 29 and Paul Irvin staying out under this caution.
We are wrecking behind.
It's a parking lot party back here. What happened? Oh, you can see the checkup from a mile away. Oh, Oh, there goes the 60 of Hunter Hastings, the 32 of Brenton Branson.
Yeah,
It looked
ultimately,
like
I mean, the restart was not super tight. Cars were not ready to go at the same time, and just absolutely a challenge for drivers to be able to make those calls.
Oh yeah, watch this. We're gonna back it up so you guys can see it a little bit better. You can see Ben 10, Ben Corson, a little bit of gap, and then he's gonna step on it, and then immediately slam on the brakes because he caught the guys in front of him a little too early, and I think that's what kind of caused all the commotion behind him with the 69 and the 32.
And so I'm curious if some of these vehicles may have stepped out of line in order to come to the checkered flag and pull out during the caution.
I mean,
Even looking at the very front of the pack, that bottom line, they are completely askewed. In the top line even as well are askewed coming to the green.
you can see the 6 of Kyle Miller get by everybody, no problem. Has to slam on the brakes, so there might be a flat spot on the 6. But other than that, he should be good to go. This might help Dalton and possibly put him on the lead lap. Maybe 1 lap down. Yeah, he'll just be 1 lap down.
That should put him to 1 lap down. I should let everyone know Race Control has deemed this a racing incident. They did warn drivers essentially that it was an issue on the restart and to keep their restarts in mind.
So happy you're able to hear it because we have it muted for everybody at home for obvious reasons. But it gives us a little bit of a listen into, so I appreciate that, Brandon, letting us know kind of what happened there, because that was one hell of a checkup.
Oh, if I am talking and I suddenly slow down, it's because all of a sudden somebody is talking in my ear, and that's anyone on the track. That is Race Control. I don't normally sound the way that I sound whenever I slow down in speaking, and those of you who are friends with me can attest to that. So that is why ultimately I am able to get a little bit of a sneak peek at what they're going through.
Yeah, so correction, Dalton will be 1 lap down. He's the only truck on that lap. So if everything goes well, and it looks like he'll make out at least at this stage to be back on the lead lap. So good job for Dalton. I know he missed the start of this race. But up front, Paul Irvin staying out once again. Joe Darnell stayed out last time. He just hit pit road. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with that 48 as the lights are off on the iRacing official pace truck. And the 48's going to take the high side, giving Scott Ramler the inside.
I think that's the right move. While there's going to be enough of a challenge on the low side, I think the 48 is banking that we're going to stop having these caution after caution moments. We're going to be able to extend out a green flag run, and Scott's going to end up burning up his equipment on the low side. Paul's lining up for a good long run.
Yeah, I also wouldn't be surprised at this point with how many caution laps we've had. You might be good to go to lap 60.
I believe we probably would be. We're currently sitting on lap 25, and I know that we have definitely gone through a 30-lap run, potentially a 35-lap run. So I think anybody who is pit here on this caution should be good to the end.
All right, here we go. Pace truck is off, and green flag back in the air. Immediately, there goes the 51 of Justin Hopplinger to the inside of Scott Ramler. He's going to challenge for the lead coming out of turn 2. '25 of Logan Kogar as well, battling for that second position as the 51 gets by, no problem. We are 3 wide, a little bit further back.
Yeah, that 10th position on back, they're definitely jostling for everything they can get. And that's the bee's nest in racing on oval tracks in general. That's the area where you're going to have cars that can make or break a race. pushing themselves a little bit further ahead, and some cars staying back a little bit as they get squirrely there off of turn 2.
Yeah, especially a short track or something that simulates a short track like New Hampshire Motor Speedway. As we are still 3 wide, Caleb Bacon, Aiden Turner, and Matt Cochran 3 wide coming off of turn 4.
I think it'll be a little bit until we see cars get strung out. I think knowing that the stage end is going to be coming here in the next about 25 or so laps, cars are going to try and get everything they can. Oh, as we have contact in the back, Caleb Lamb, the 77 truck, has made contact with a vehicle that tried to clear themselves just a little bit. That was some tight racing.
Oh, that would be the 29 of Joe Darnell.
And I apologize. He didn't try and clear himself. He got loose in front of Caleb, and ultimately just unable to check up enough.
Yeah, he's already loose, and you can see Caleb slowing up just a little bit, but not enough, and bumps to 29. Take a look from the 92 as well, because that 29 goes right across the 92 as well. Or not.
And here's the challenge of that part of the track and checking up if a driver gets loose is that your truck is so on edge as you're trying to get the power down right there that you are sawing at the wheel a lot of times on exit as well, and you're unable to see a slight twitch of a vehicle in front of you because you do saw at it enough. You can see him there. You know, he's sawing at his own wheel, the 29 truck, and I guarantee Caleb is doing the same thing. Just is unable to make that judgment call.
Didn't look like that much of a hit on the inside wall. Probably just a little bit of fender damage.
And to let everyone know, Race Control has deemed that a racing incident, which personally I would agree with that. I mean, the vehicle got loose in front of the 77 and unable to check up. I think that's similar to what happened earlier with a call that went a little bit differently, but circumstances are different, and we appreciate everything Race Control does.
As there goes to 29 exiting pit road. The front end looks fine, but that right rear looks packed in just a little bit. Good thing it's a short track. It's not really an aero-dependent racetrack. But our 4th Elite Entertainment caution flag of the evening. We are on lap number 32, going to 60 for the stage, and then 175 for the full race distance. But up front, it is the 51 adjusting Opplinger. Logan Kogar sitting in 2nd, Paul Irvin in 3rd. 4th, you have Scott Ramler. In 5th, Mike Rominger. Derek Batecorn in 6th. 7th is Joshua Vidal. 8th, Matt Cochran. 9th, Aiden Turner. And Caleb Bacon rounding out that top 10. Right now, currently, your biggest mover of the race is the driver of the number 8 Ford F-150. It's Derek Batecorn. Up 19 positions. So he's sitting pretty good from 25th to 6th.
Let me tell you, that truck that he's driving, it looks as smooth as RICMOTECH, and I keep saying that. Flashbacks to my win back at Daytona, that was the comment that I made in Victory Lane, was my car was as smooth as RICMOTECH, and that truck looks as smooth as RICMOTECH.
What scheme do you see him in? I see him in the flat XMS scheme.
Correct. The back of his back bumper has RICMOTECH on it.
Yes,
so
yes, it
with
does.
XMS and RICMOTECH, I was able to see that a little bit. Giving a shout out to them, trying to at least.
How about that right there?
See, I'm not as dumb as I look, AJ.
I never said you looked dumb.
It's all right. We were thinking it.
Must be all those people in the chat. It definitely wouldn't be me. I would never say that about you. But glad to have you all with us here this evening. 17 people watching via Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. We currently have a couple people watching on TikTok, so if you're anywhere new, hit that like button, subscribe, follow. We're about to go racing once again. There goes the pace truck, and we are green once again at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. See the 48 of Paul Irvin. His only pit stop was lap 4 for fuel, and he is currently riding around in that 5th position. If this works out and he still gets a top 10 and some stage points, he's going to be sitting like a genius because he's going to save an extra set of tires in the pits.
Well, what he's hoping on is that this race ends up having a few more cautions, which I know we want to see them go green. We want to see good, hard racing. It's just going to depend on these drivers and how aggressive they want to get here at the end of the stage. We definitely have a 3-wide battle. Yep. Looking around that 10th place position. You got it on screen.
The minute you said it, I was like, I know where he's going. You see the 26 of Josh Vidal, the 24 of Mike Campiggio. Good to see him back in the car. And the 15 of Aiden Turner. Aiden's doing a pretty good job on that inside lane as he's able to clear the 26 out of 2.
Well, that's exactly what he wants to do. He wants to be able to give himself that ability to rotate his car as he needs without any other trucks on either side of him. He's got to be able to save his equipment because if this does go green even to the end of the stage, the tire fall off for these trucks, the fall off from the first lap on tires 10th is about a full second and about a half. Well, he's going to be 3 wide going into this turn, so I'm going to pause for a second. What a save out of turn 2.
And he sends it into turn 3 to try to hold on to the position.
But I'll tell you, after you get outside of the first 10 laps on these tires, you don't have a ton of fall off. You maybe have a half a second of fall off if you're taking care of your equipment for the next 25 or so laps.
Right in front of him, it's the 72 of Brant Humphreys and the 47 of Daniel Krim side by side. It's some damage on the left side of Daniel Krim's Chevy Silverado. That's coming from our first caution of the evening on the start of the race, where he ends up backwards in the wall.
Well, that just goes to show you the arrows we were talking about earlier does not play a huge factor at this track, and if anything, it may even help you depending on what part of the vehicle gets a little bit of damage.
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago, you remember some of these jackmans and tire changers putting a knee or a shoulder into the side of the race car to help it turn better?
I remember that. You got to use that Hendrick power if I remember correctly.
Oh, that was Brad Keselowski.
You got to use that Miller Lite power if you remember correctly.
Looks like Nate Orlowski's got a game for you to play, Brandon, in the chat.
I don't know how I feel about that one. I can tell you, though, some equipment that needs to be checked out here. The 57 truck definitely came over the radio, upset with the racing that he's receiving from some of the drivers around him. So maybe a battle to keep an eye on. He does not like how he's being raced, but I think he's being raced pretty fairly. He's able to hold on to his truck, and he's able to take some aggressive moves, and it's a long race.
Yeah, it's a very long race, and Scott Ramler has Joe Hutchings on the box for him this evening here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And right now, he's holding serve with the 8 of Derek Batecorn right behind him. You see the 9 of Mike Rominger as Mike's have put in a couple laps together to try to take over that 4th position away from the 8.
Well, speaking of a couple of laps away, we had a truck that was 3 laps down here after the first caution, and Dalton Fredericks, and I want to point out, he has made his way up. He's back on the lead lap. He is up into 14th position coming through the pack. So a great run from him, and Kyle Miller ultimately is going to be that next driver, hoping that more cautions happen, because we've only got 2 cars that are a lap down or more, and the first one is Kyle Miller 3 laps down.
Yeah, he's in that 6. You see him right there. And he's holding serve. He's running middle of the pack. I know he's a couple laps down, but all it takes, like you said, is a few cautions. I think we just had a car go way off the racetrack. I think we're good, though. I think they made it back onto the racetrack.
I do believe so. I don't see a vehicle off the track in any of my screens.
No. Must have missed it real fast, but you see the 55 of Trevor Klein trying to get the pass on the 15 of Aiden Turner, and as we mentioned before, Paul Irvin currently battling with the 35 of Caleb Bacon for P6. That 48 took fuel only on the lap 4 caution, and other than that, he has stayed out, most likely trying to make it all the way to the stage and leave a set of Goodyear Eagle tires in waiting for him, and an advantage with him in pit road. We've seen that strategy work out pretty good too.
With the fall off ultimately being a second in the first 10 laps, if we get a decent run at the end and you have those extra tires and it comes down to a shootout, that driver with the tires is the driver I'm taking.
And Paul's doing a really good job. Just got by the 18 of Caleb Bacon. That's going to put him into that 6th spot. A little bit further back, you see the 92 and the 32 side by side on exit. Both drivers trying to come back after incidents earlier on in the race.
Well, I'm pretty sure those 3 drivers that are all right there, the 92, the 32, and the 77, I'm pretty sure all those were in that one caution.
Yes.
Coming out of turn 4.
But up front, with almost a 2-second lead over second place Logan Kogar, Justin Opplinger is putting on a clinic here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Last time by, he was the fastest truck on the racetrack with a 30.51. Christian DeBoer hitting pit road, or looked like he clipped pit road and it kind of called him to it.
Given how many laps we are into this run, I'm really impressed. I know it's a car that's running in 19th right now, but Dustin Carroll's been able to make this low side work, and he's passing vehicles. He's now made his way up to trying to pass Josh Vidal in the 26 truck. Really impressive considering that's not how you save equipment, but he's able to make moves happen, a little bit of bumping and rubbing side by side, but able to make that low side work.
Yeah, I think that 92 is just trying to get as many positions as possible before the stage. He's also on about 12 lap fresher tires than everybody else around him.
There's that 10 lap difference I was talking about.
But here comes Paul Irvin trying to make another pass on the 8. Looked like these top 5 or 6 drivers might have burnt off their tires, and somebody who's been in save mode the first half of this race is starting to close in on passing some of these drivers.
Well, it's all a matter of, did you burn it up or did you not burn it up? What do you have here as we come down to roughly 10 laps to go in the stage?
That's it, just about 10 laps to go, about 5 minutes of racing for these drivers. Can they hold on to a points paying position in this first stage, as you're looking at the 15 of Aiden Turner? That's 10th place.
Yeah, this battle right here that you've got on your screen has been pretty intense for the past about 2 laps or so. And these drivers are going to dice all the way through to the end.
And look who's joined the party. That number 20.
Mr. Where did he come from?
He's just picking drivers off, maybe 1 or 2 a lap at this point. And he might even put himself in a points-paying position.
It would be really impressive to do, but he's also got to keep in mind this is a long race. He's already come back from a lot of adversity. Apologies. He's got to make sure that he keeps his truck clean in case they get to dicing too much here at the end.
And I think Dalton's a pretty smart racer. I just think he wants that regular season championship if he can get it. And that's going to be a big ask, because that 51 is leading by a lot with tonight's race and next week's race. He's leading by almost a full race.
He's been absolutely on fire tonight. I mean, we saw it during qualifying. He just had the absolute speed, and even in practice, he was in the top 3 in terms of speed, with the focus being on long runs, looking at his lap times. So definitely going to be the one to beat in my eyes tonight. We'll see if he can get it done.
As we're dropping it back again, you see the 12 of Michael Thwaites, the 10 of Ben Corson.
Ooh.
I had no previous knowledge that he might have spun out there. Well, we are coming to 5 laps to go in the stage. And it is all Justin Opplinger by 4 seconds over Logan Kogar and 4.5 over Scott Ramler. Caleb Bacon losing another position. This time it's the Daniel Krim. Oh,
Well,
35's got to be
that
careful.
high line work.
Yeah, crossover coming out of 4. Wow.
That crossover is so challenging. Like, it looks so easy just to make that move down below, but the way that the banking adjusts in that very bottom line and the amount of power you have to put down in order to allow your truck to rotate off of that center off, that is so challenging to do.
We've seen a lot of drivers try to use that apron to help turn the vehicle on exit, but you got to be really careful with that. It will spin out your car.
It'll definitely help you turn on exit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, right into the inside wall.
Exactly.
You see the 4 of Matt Cochran, the 12 of Michael Thwaites, and the 55 of Trevor Klein, all under a blanket here. This is for that 12th position. Dalton has made it to P10. That's absolutely insane. Very much impressive. Still insane.
Well, and we got Logan Kogar, who's gotten in front of Scott Ramler, but they have a close battle up here at the front. And we're coming down to about 2 laps or so to go. It'd be really nice to see how this one shapes up.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see if that 57 can get by the 25 before the stage, because we are coming to the white flag of stage number 1.
He's going to push him down into 1. He's going to make him over-rotate. He's going to try that crossover.
This is the final lap of stage 1. Justin Opplinger is gone. This is for P2. And it looks like they're going to be content right where they are. Justin Opplinger is going to win stage 1 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, followed by Logan Kogar, Scott Ramler, Mike Rominger. 5th goes to David Bacorn. 6th, Paul Irvin. Daniel Krim in 7th. 8th, it's Caleb Bacon. 9th, Dalton Fredericks, and Aiden Turner rounding out that top 10. That was an absolute butt whooping for Justin Opplinger in that first 60-lap stage.
That was an absolute clinic, not just a butt whooping. That was a clinic.
We'll talk to Justin momentarily. We'll let them cycle through pit stops. But I got nothing. That was wild. I'm not shocked with how Justin has been running this season, but holy cow.
Well, in the way that first stage shaped up, it's going to be really challenging for these drivers to determine what their strategy is with what equipment they have remaining here at the end of the race. Are you wanting to save some for the end? Are you wanting to try and stretch out some sort of run at some certain point? Because the cautions haven't been consistent. They've been pretty sporadic. And we've had some good quality green flag racing. And we've also had some caution after caution moments. So how do you set up your truck in terms of what you have available as you get to the end of this race?
Yeah, this is going to help Kyle Miller. That's going to give him an extra lap as everybody's coming down for fuel and tires. But now what's the strategy, Brandon? What's the strategy now that you know we have another 115 laps to go?
if I'm being honest, and I've been horrible at strategies, I put myself 2 laps down from my own strategy. So I'm not the best person to answer that. I definitely want to make sure that we ask our stage winner this question. But for me, I'm setting myself up for the long run and not the short run. I think in history, in XMS, and me racing in there, even if you have a chaotic first stint, the second half of the race usually ends up somehow everyone's straightening it out.
Well, you mentioned him, and it's your turn for the interview. Here's Justin Opplinger.
Justin, it's Brandon and AJ up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Congratulations on that Stage 1 victory. We get to talk to you again. Really happy about that. I got a question for you about this race. Ultimately, we've seen cautions. We've seen green flag runs. Is it the short run or the long run truck that will win tonight? And what do you need to do to get it done?
Probably the long run. I'm not totally sure yet. It'll probably just be based on how cautions go here. We got a better long run truck. We got a really quick short run truck as well, so I think we'll be able to hang on to the P1. We'll see. Hopefully Scott doesn't decide to turn on his NOS booster anytime soon, so I think we'll be good.
Awesome. Well, he's a little hot under the head, so just keep that in mind, and we're rooting for you up here.
Thank you very much.
All right, Justin Opplinger, driver of Apex Racing Team, winner of the first stage, and it looks like that 56 of Christian De Boer is going to grab the wave around. But Brandon, thoughts on our first stage and how it went?
Ultimately, as I explained, I think we got to see a good combination of cautions versus green flag runs and how the racing can play out. And I think in true XMS fashion, if the beginning half is a little bit chaotic, the end will get strung out, and we'll get to see a great finish from that strategy move that you're going to be able to have. So great first run. Really proud of the way that all these guys ran, despite minimal moments of adversity, and just really excited to see how this last part plays out. Happy that Justin agreed with me. The long run truck.
All right, I think Brandon kind of cut out there for a second.
I apologize.
We're about to go green. I was like waiting for the payoff, and it was like,
Admittedly, my dog stepped on my Ethernet cord, and that's what did it.
Oh, geez. Well, here we go. Green flag back in the air. Stage 2 underway. And immediately, that 51 is set sail. And the strategy moves that 48 did in Stage 1 absolutely paid off. That 48 is up to 4th place.
Well, and the 57 has done what he needs to do. He has gotten those trucks behind him and not side by side with them. He just can't let that 51 truck get away. He's got to maintain pace, and if not, reel him in.
And it looks like the 9 of Mike Rominger is very fast on the early run. It's going to be one heck of a challenge for Scott Ramler to keep that 9 behind him, as we're going to jump on the roof cam and just watch how good the 9 is on entry. But I think that's where the 57 is good on exit. You see a little bit of a pull away from Scott Ramler. Don't even bother looking at the 51. The 51 is good in all 4 turns.
Well, and that's exactly why he wants you to look at him. He's good in all 4 turns. And from 10th on back, I mean, when you're in the top 10, you've got things pretty well under control in your strategy with your race. 10th on back, it is an absolute dogfight right now. We have some vehicles that have gotten loose. We have a little bit of 3-wide racing.
Whoa, speaking of that, there goes the 92. Wow, he was facing the inside wall.
And as you were going through that replay, I can tell you Logan Koger had an incredible save coming out of 4. He was roughly 2 or 3 wide, completely saved it. He's lost about 2 positions out of it. But that definitely is a battle back there.
You see the 25. Yeah, he's back to that 13th position. Derek Bakecorn plus 20 spots in that number 8. And it's really smart because for these drivers, you're going to make spots early and you're going to make spots at the end of the run. But once everybody starts to really even out, you're just looking for mistakes being made by your competitors. And that 8, as we've seen, has just been picking off drivers when somebody makes a mistake, or very late in the run, as we saw at the end of stage 1.
Well, the 25 is trying to grind and do what he can to get those positions back. And we have a wreck out of turn 2. Car in the grass. No caution as of yet.
Oh, he just gets really loose behind Michael Thwaites. A little bit of contact to the inside wall, not too bad.
One thing that I've noticed from both racing on iRacing and watching the races is that a lot of times people wonder how is that not a caution? Why did a caution not come out? Ultimately, for iRacing to throw the caution automatically, the vehicle has to go more than 90 degrees on a racing line and approximately more than 180 degrees off the track is my understanding of the way that it automatically occurs. This may or may not always happen. Again, it's technology, but race control isn't able to see everything on track. And in that moment, I'd say no harm, no foul. It's just unfortunate for the 55.
Yeah, as we've seen multiple times, like you mentioned, where there should be one, sometimes there's not. And when there shouldn't be one, sometimes it gets called. But yeah, if it's in the racing line and still on the racetrack, the minute you touch grass is usually you're not going to get called unless you come back up on the racetrack. But yeah, Jake in the chat, Dalton was 3 laps down, and he's fighting for P6 with Daniel Krim.
Well, even right in front of that, there's a great battle with Paul Irvin and Derek Bacorn. Those two trucks are absolutely battling it out, trying to. There's almost contact. There is contact.
I would not want to be the crew chief or the spotter of either one of those drivers right now.
Well, and I can tell you, as earlier Rambler was hot, I can tell you the 48 said he's getting pretty sick and tired of that 8 truck doing that. So it's just some tough racing, and that's the most challenging thing. When I was racing in XMS, there were drivers that I would curse up and down because they were great drivers, and they will race you every single lap. And that's just, it's a testament to the talent that is in this league, is that they will make it until they cannot make it anymore.
Yeah, we just dropped back so you guys can see the pass for P2. Rominger gets by Rambler.
I wonder how much of that is Rambler trying to save equipment, or how much it was him trying to run away from the 9 truck and him letting him kind of eat his stuff up.
Do you got a quarter? Because I think it could possibly be a 50-50 call at this point.
I would guess that whenever I flip heads or tails, it's probably the opposite.
A little bit further back. Christopher Opplinger, who's plus 4 positions, 19th to 15th. You see him in the 54 Chevy Silverado. He's battling with the 32 of Trenton Branson to move up another position, and he does. 15 is definitely going places.
Well, another truck that's going places. There's a driver who has made a move on the outside who's making his way up into the top 5, and that's Dalton Fredericks. He's coming through this pack and could absolutely benefit from this race having a few caution moments.
Now, I know for everybody watching at home, it feels like we're saying Dalton's name quite a bit. He was 3 laps down, and he's in 5th. You don't see that normally. I know we've had a good chunk of cautions which did aid him getting positions back, but New Hampshire's a very tough place to pass to begin with.
He's about ready to have to pass one of the toughest drivers to pass in Derek Bacorn. All night he has been on the wheel making moves happen, and the next move that Dalton's got to make is past that driver, and that's going to be no easy feat.
Yeah, and I'll give Derek Batecorn this. He's driving like Ryan Newman, and that is absolutely a compliment. He's P4, and he wants to stay P4 or higher. But the issue is, if Dalton can get by him, does that open the floodgates for other people to just continue to fill a hole?
I think what it does, though, if he's able to get past him, it makes drivers like Scott Ramler and Mike Rominger have to really try and think through what they want to do here at the end of the race, because Dalton's making these moves, and it seems like his equipment isn't falling off that much. And in comparison, the top two drivers, Mike Rominger and Scott Ramler, behind our leader, they have had to battle each other constantly, side by side, and use up some of their equipment early. So what would that mean as the run continues?
So Dalton's also working on a full head of steam. We just got confirmation on the race last night with the XMS Road Series. He won the RICMOTECH World Challenge in the Porsche 963 for Phantom Power Racing. So Dalton's looking to go or start the week with 2 wins in 2 nights. But the issue is for anybody on this racetrack is the 51 is here. And the 51 has been the fastest truck on the racetrack each of the last 15 laps. And it's not even close. It's literally by a 10.5 plus a lap. He's got almost a 4-second lead over Mike Rominger in second.
He's been able to figure out his rhythm and how to ensure that he's not using up his equipment, which truly, as I said at the beginning, is the key to the race. How do you save your stuff, and how do you not burn it up? And by leading, you're able to run whatever line you need to. You're not back in 15th and 16th like the battle that I'm watching right now, where they're able to do side-by-side racing constantly and essentially not making a ton of ground up.
Logan Kogar getting by the 72 of Brent Humphrey as he's pushing Caleb Bacon out of turn 2.
He doesn't quite have enough to be able to clear him, but the 35 truck did get into the wall slightly on his own. So he's going to be able to at least clear him on entry and see what he's able to do on exit. But Logan Koger is trying to still keep that pressure up.
That 25 is on a roll. I thought we were losing the 25 there.
Well, and he's another driver that, admittedly, I would curse up and down, because he is a driver who puts everything out there all the time. And he is a hard racer to race against, because he is so talented and able to make moves happen, whether you want them to happen or not. So he's one that definitely is going to be a contender if we're able to get him towards the front at the end.
Here we go. The 8's looking for P3. That inside lane is very, very difficult to run. As you can see, the 57 with a great exit out of turn 4 and down the front stretch.
You can see even Scott's truck is a little bit loose there, right at the apex of the turn, which means he's trying to figure out, as his tires are wearing, where is my balance of my truck altering to ensure that I am getting the most out of my entry and the most out of my exit. Because if you give up too much in the center of the turn, you will end up taking too much on exit, and you will overdrive your car, burn up your stuff, and get really loose.
And you can see it. He's able to keep the 8 behind him. And that's going to start slowly stacking people up behind the 8 as Fredericks looks like he tags the wall out of 2, and so does the 48.
Well, and Bacorn's trying to figure out what the best way is to get around him, because Scott's going to run the most optimal line possible as long as he is able to. And Bacorn's got to figure out, am I going to make a move on the high side and try and dive in on entry? Or am I going to set myself up for a perfect center and dive off on exit to the low side? And either way, it is so tricky to do because you upset your truck so much, as we see him here try and go to the inside and get really loose. It is so delicate of a balance, and he's going to use up so much equipment here on exit trying just to maintain with him as he's no longer going to be side by side.
Oh, Christopher
We do have a
Opplinger
caution
brings
on
out
track.
a caution. 6th caution of the evening, 5th for incident. Let's check out what happened to the 54. Oh, Caleb Lamb. Oh, God.
It's not.
I saw the 77 and I got nervous there for a second. It looked like the 32 really stepped on the brake for corner entry, and the 54 just right into the back of him.
Yeah, I jumped in the cockpit real quick on Christopher Opplinger, and ultimately, you know, whenever you go into the turn, you want to brake right about the one board. And just for how close he was to that truck, definitely a misjudgment there on Opplinger.
There it is. 4, 3, 2. Yeah, he was off the gas and slowing down at the 1. It just looked like the 32 was slowing down at a significantly faster rate. As I think we're going to see everybody come down pit road. They're on 30-lap old tires. This should definitely help out the 6.
To update everybody, the 54 truck was given the EOL for first offense.
Well, everybody, thank you for watching All-Star 15 TV's broadcast of the XMS RICMOTECH Truck Series, race number 9 from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Glad to have you here. Hit that like button, subscribe, follow. We are going to go side by side to say hello to our sponsors.
From Mortar to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
RICMOTECH, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, RICMOTECH.com.
We're back, everybody, from New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the XMS RICMOTECH Truck Series. Race leader Justin Opplinger, Scott Ramler to his outside. Row 2 brings you Mike Rominger and Derek Batecorn, Dalton Fredericks, and Paul Irvin, your first 3 rows. There goes the iRacing official pace truck. And we are green. Green flag is back in the air, and away we go with a huge stack up on the outside lane. Now, you mentioned that they did give that 54 the EOL on... Uh-oh.
We have a wreck on the backstretch.
Ooh.
Oh! That 55 truck got turned, but he was trying to avoid a vehicle that was completely turned around in the center of the track.
Yeah, that 24 was completely sideways.
Not sure what happened, but someone needs to make sure we let the 24 know we can't park there. It's a dangerous place to park right there in the center of the track, but I mean, it just looks like he gets tagged coming out of the turn. Nothing he can do.
Ooh, by the 15 of Aiden Turner. What is that, the 32 of Trent Branson, and the 55 of Trevor Klein, all involved into this accident. See the 15 of Aiden Turner.
I'll tell you, if you want to see a driver who needs a new pair of pants, that Ben 10 car, the Ben Corson's a great onboard view.
Yeah, I think everybody basically just coming off the turn, but Mike Campigio just kind of holding his line on that outer side. I don't know. I'm happy I'm not race control. And you said the 55? Or who was it?
The Ben 10 car is a great onboard view, being able to see the truck turn around, some smoke, and then just being able to skate themselves up through the top line.
On board with that number 10. Here we go. Very smart racing from Ben. But since we're already on board with a vehicle, I kind of want to see, is that the 4? No, that's the 55 that gets in. Oh, he gets tagged from behind.
Well, and ultimately, if a driver is able to wreck properly, and there's no proper way to wreck, but there also is. When you lock it down after contact's been made, you ultimately hold your line. You don't run to the top half of the track or the bottom half, and trucks are able to scatter properly. And that's what you saw, at least the majority of the trucks do, is be able to get around the 24 truck once he was spun. And to update everybody, it looks like that the 15 of Aiden Turner was given the EOL and the at fault for the incident.
Who was given the incident?
The 15 truck.
Okay.
That was the truck that made contact
Aiden
with
Turner.
the 24.
I don't know why I thought you said 54 again. My brain literally, my brain turned into Windows for a second.
That is alright, as long as it's not Windows Vista.
Oh god, that was my first one. Actually, no, 97 was my first one, and I had 97 until probably like 4th or 5th grade. And then I got Vista, and then had the Vista laptop for God only knows how long, until, honestly, my computer I have now. The one I am broadcasting off of, which is Windows 10. I literally saw Windows 10 for the first time at work. I was like, ooh, shiny.
Oh. And I had, it was Windows, I think, 95, then 98, and then I had that all the way up until XP.
I remember having XP in school.
XP was the best Windows. You can't change my mind.
All right, here we go. Going green once again. Same leader, different dance partner. 51, great restart. That battle is for second as they go into turn number 1.
On a driver in the back who's hustling. We have a driver who is made up 3 laps again with Kyle Miller. He is 3 wide, snaking his way through the pack.
You see him in the 6.
Well, what Kyle is doing is it's very smart. He's optimizing the center groove of the track, which is the fastest groove possible.
Looking to make another pass, this time on the 28 of Ed Morris Sr. But Rambler kind of falling backwards to start this run. He's battling with the 20 of Dalton Fredericks.
Well, we said it earlier that ultimately, caution or no caution, that was the truck that Scott had to be worried about in order to be able to make that run towards the front of the pack. I think at the end, if Dalton's able to restart side by side or a row behind Opplinger, that's going to be quite the battle at the end.
Yeah, that's gonna be scary, but it is all 51 of Justin Opplinger, and it's really not even close.
Rominger is trying to do whatever he can to stay with him, but I mean, Baycorn is putting the pressure on him, and he's got to ensure that as he's pushing to try and catch up to him, he's not making a mistake, because we know Baycorn will absolutely capitalize on any mistake that's in front of him.
Yeah, Baycorn, I got to give a lot of credit to that 8. I know some drivers are not very happy with him, but I kind of mentioned that he's driving like he's Brian Newman, and I mean that as a 100% compliment. I know some of these drivers wouldn't take it as a compliment because he's making it difficult for you to pass him, and it's put him in that 3rd position as he's battling for P2. But he is up 22 spots from 25 to 3rd. So I would say Derek needs to be proud of what he's doing tonight. And also, you got to look at other drivers that are up a lot of positions. Daniel Krim is +9. +7 is Brant Humphrey in 10th. So a lot of drivers making a lot of movement towards the front as we have passed that 100 lap mark, and we're closing in on the finish really quickly tonight.
And these drivers are going to have to figure out, if this goes green, what is the final strategy for the race? Are you going to want to try and short pit in order to have an extension at the end and maybe save a set of tires? Are you going to want to pit right in the center of the stage? Or are you going to want to try and go as long as possible and ultimately hope that there's a caution and leave some trucks a lap down? That's the difficulty of this strategy at the end of these XMS races, from my experience of racing in them, is that you got to pick a strategy at the end. You don't know which one is right. And I've made the joke, if I flip a coin, it's the opposite, because every strategy I've chosen generally is not the correct one.
Kyle Miller up to that 17th position. Oh, and there goes the 55. Oh, and he's absolutely amazing. Trevor Klein had the truck lost and didn't sweat it, didn't worry. That was absolutely insane. Let's jump on board with that 55 coming out of turn 2 here.
Well, and I want to know how that 6 truck didn't end up making contact with him, because it looked like that 6 truck was about ready to make a move on the low side, and as that truck got squirrely, that low side door got shut.
Opplinger just about 15 laps into this run, putting 2.5 seconds over Mike Rominger. Derek Baycorn is just about 4/10 back of Rominger, and then Dalton Fredericks just about a second back from Baycorn, and then Scott Rambler about a ½ second back from Dalton Fredericks. So there are multiple battles on the racetrack as we've seen, taking a look from the NDNT blimp cam, as a little contact between the 72 and the 77.
There's a little bit of a door slam there and saying, nope, you're not going to get by me on that high side. I'm going to ensure you're going to push me down this straightaway.
And as you mentioned earlier, Brandon, I got to give you a lot of credit here. A lot of these drivers are moving to that middle to high lane for their actual line that they're getting through these turns. How are some of these drivers going to make passes if we are running that high on the racetrack?
What I think is going through these drivers' heads, and this is what would be going through my head right now, is I don't want to burn my equipment up. You run a risk if you pit short, or even if you pit in the middle of a run in a track like this where there's so much volatility. So you need to save your equipment, and that's in that high line. Unless you know a driver has made a huge mistake and you can make a quick pass, you aren't going to want to make that pass. You're going to want to bide your time, be able to get yourself into a good fuel strategy on pit road, and then at the very end, run whatever you can with the drivers around you to get past them.
I know we just mentioned about that 6 being in the 17th position. Well, scratch that. He's up to 13th.
Yeah, he's gotten himself back on the lead lap, and he's been running through the pack, not at the same clip as the other vehicle that was 3 laps down in the 20 truck, but he's still making his way through there. And we said at the beginning, if those two can get back on the lead lap, they're going to definitely be put on a show if he wants to watch, potentially be a factor at the end.
We're watching two teammates battle right here, the 92 of Dustin Carroll and the 4 of Matt Cochran, as the 92 sends it into 3 to underneath the 26 of Josh Vidal. And I think the 4 is just going to fill the outside spot, and if the 92 can't clear him, he might lose a couple positions here.
And just in front of them, the 10 and the 72 have been beaten and banging side by side. The 10 is going to fall in line with the 72 now, but there was definitely some beating and banging side by side.
Right now, watching the 51 and his lap times, he's kind of holding steady, keeping Rominger just about 2.5 seconds back. You know, he doesn't need to push, he just needs to stay consistent. As we're going to jump on board with the 51, not trying to give away any state secrets, but just watch how smooth the 51 is around the racetrack. Yeah, it's like he's on a slot track.
Well, and ultimately what he's doing is he's ensuring he's not overdriving his entry, and he's not underdriving the center of the turn. That's going to allow him to have a smooth exit where he's not overdriving his truck and breaking loose on the rear wheels, and also not essentially underutilizing the performance of his truck at the same time. It's a super delicate balance. It just speaks to the talent that Justin Opplinger has.
Rambler now having to battle once again with Dalton Fredericks as it looks. Oh, yellow flag is out. Dustin
we
Carroll
have
in the 92.
Another can't park there moment. I wonder what happened to him.
Oh. Looks like he clips the apron on the inside and just off the 10. Ooh, Josh Vidal getting involved.
Well, and that's the challenge. Whenever you have that bottom lane, that's almost a flat surface, and it's almost the opposite of being flat. You're on a skew the opposite direction. I apologize, the word is escaping me of what that's called. But when you touch that apron, it definitely upsets your truck.
And there it is, the little bit of contact with the 10. Ooh. Yipe. let's go back and kind of take a look from the 10's viewpoint. And there's a little bit of contact. We also want to see this from Josh Vidal's.
Well, and to update everyone, we got word from Race Control that is a racing incident. According to Race Control, no penalty.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that.
I could definitely see how it could be a racing incident. Ultimately, while the truck did go into the turn and overdrive it a little bit, right at that apex of the turn is so challenging because the high line's got to come down a little bit. And while it wasn't anything egregious, there was no intent, and they weren't going for the same spot. It's just a misjudgment call on both drivers making contact.
We are under our 8th caution of the evening. That is brought to you by Elite Entertainment, putting lap 120 on the board of 175. Brandon, it has been a very eventful race and honestly a very fun race to broadcast. I was kind of nervous with New Hampshire, as I've seen New Hampshire races in the past, but the XMS RICMOTECH Truck Series putting on one heck of a show here tonight, whether it's been pure chaos or just watching drivers try to Tetris their way through the field. But yeah, hit that like button, everybody. Subscribe, follow if this is the first time you've seen us on any of our platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. The chat is absolutely blowing up. Thank you guys for keeping us entertained under caution with the chat room. Leland, good luck on Friday with the South Carolina 250. Hopefully it goes well, and hopefully we can catch it somewhere so we can watch it. Because I know I would like to. But it looks like that 47 of Daniel Krim staying out on the racetrack. He last pit on that lap 90 caution. So he's got about 30 lap old tires on the truck. And I wonder if he's trying that Paul Irvin kind of strategy. But the issue I see with this is there's no guarantee caution like there was in the first stage. He is banking on there being a caution now because everybody else is going to be able to make it to the finish.
Yeah, he's hoping there'll be one more, but ultimately he's on a one-stop strategy, but he has to stop at the beginning portion of this next run, whereas others can decide if they want to be at the beginning, middle, or the end.
Just a reminder, everybody, after tonight's race, we are off for racing next week. We will return the following week for the regular season finale at Talladega Super Speedway. Green flag in the air, and Daniel Krim with a phenomenal race restart, but something to keep an eye on. This is the furthest Justin Opplinger has been back, as we are seeing 3 wide for the race lead.
We were nearly 4 wide up there as Koger was using up the entire apron, but we do have a caution flag out.
Hunter Hastings in the 69. Oh, he's just going to get loose on the outside lane under cold tires, and nobody's going to hit him.
Well, and what's crazy is the vehicle a little bit further up in front of him, it looks to be the 77, also got loose at the exact same moment, trying to get everything they can out of it. And that's the ironic thing about this track, is that you see so many trucks get loose, and it almost makes you get loose at the same time. Whether it be the patch of pavement you hit or just the mindset of what you're doing, if one truck gets loose, another one's going to get loose, and more than likely that second truck is the one going around.
Dude, I honestly think, and this is coming from a guy that, if it's a modified, I can run it. If it's anything else, no, probably not. Here comes Daniel Krim. He's going to hit pit road. But yeah, for me, it's monkey see, monkey do. You see somebody spinning in front of you, and just out of reaction, somehow you end up spinning too. But we are going to step away for another commercial break. When we return, it'll be the restart from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. You are watching the XMS RICMOTECH Truck Series.
Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
RICMOTECH, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, RICMOTECH.com.
Here we go, everybody. About to put lap 127 on the board, and green flag is back in the air from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Scott Ramler with a excellent launch. He's going to go back to the point. That 51 already has the most laps lead locked up. So now for that 51, he is just looking for the race lead to get the trifecta here.
Well, at the back of the pack, you know that this is going to be one of your final opportunities to be able to make a run. Unless this turns into a caution fest, you have to get everything you can here at the beginning and align yourself up for when you want your final pit stop to be. Because I don't believe these drivers are going to be able to make it to the end off that last pit stop, but it at least ensures that you're able to be on a similar strategy as everybody else.
Well, I can probably tell you Daniel Krim, Mike Rominger, and some of the drivers further back in the pack. There's a good chance they could possibly make it. You're going to go about anywhere from 50 to 58 laps, depending on how well you can save. And Daniel Krim pit on 124, so he's looking at about 51 laps to the finish. So that, if we get a green flag run, he very much might be sitting pretty.
It absolutely will be his window, but you also have vehicles you got to be driving around. As you see Joe Darnell get extremely loose, ultimately as Krim was making a pass on him. You have to navigate your way through this traffic, and that's part of the risk. Is yes, you save fuel, but are you going to make it to the end?
Yeah, very smart call on that, as the 47's trying to get by the 48 of Paul Irvin. You can see the 92 of Dustin Carroll to the inside of Ben 10. Uh-oh.
The yellow flag is out.
And what did I say?
I just wanted to talk about them. I didn't want them to wreck.
Did I jinx Krim on that one? We have a couple of vehicles in the wall, but was that Krim involved too?
Nah, he might have spun on like a secondary, but the cautions for the 10 and the 92 and the 25.
Yeah, I can let you know the 47 was trying to get everything out of that exit and got loose on his own.
Which is good, because I don't think the caution was on him, and very, very minor damage on the 47's front end. But the 10 and 92, they're ton of damage.
Yeah, and ultimately, I mean, I think that more than likely, and I'm not race control, but I believe that would get called a racing incident where you have three trucks make contact at the same time. The 10 getting loose, and as it gets loose, he gets rear-ended, and as it gets rear-ended, he's dooring the 92. It's just a whole mashup right there, and that's part of short track racing and having restarts.
Yeah, very unfortunate that we are under our 10th caution of the evening, brought to you by Elite Entertainment. Getting plenty of views on the channel here this evening. But your race leader, the 51, Justin Opplinger, Scott Ramler in second, Derek Batecorn in third. Fourth, you have Dalton Fredericks, and in fifth, Caleb Bacon. Looked like the 56 of Christian DeBoer getting a lucky dog. Gonna put him just a couple laps down now, 6 laps down. You never know, he might end up on the lead lap.
Hey, I mean, if he's only 6 laps down, I mean, we've already had 6 laps come back. It was just 3 for each car. So it's a very good possibility if we continue this trend that happens. But let's hope that we don't continue this trend and see a fantastic run. But to let you know, Race Control has deemed that a racing incident, no penalty. They viewed from their end that there was some netcode going on as contact was being made with different vehicles, which exaggerated the contact and caused spinning.
Yeah, so basically we're just going to re-rack and get going once again. Daniel Krim back to that 19th position even after his spin, which I'm kind of surprised that he didn't try to come down pit road and throw new tires on the truck. Because after you lock up the tires, flat spotting is an issue. You're going to feel it in the handling for a good 5 or 10 laps, if not longer.
Yeah, the challenge is, though, if you get to the end of this run and we have a caution that comes out and you want tires at the end, you want to make sure that you have that set. I kind of agree with that, although if it were me in the truck, regardless of who it was, I would have come back down just to top off with fuel, ensure that if for some reason we go green and get that late run, then I'm good for a green-white checkered if I don't want to use those tires, if I see that essentially people aren't hitting pit road.
Yeah, this is really going to help out some of the drivers, like Paul Irvin came down pit road. Ed Morris Sr. came down pit road as well. Very much going to help them out make it to the end of the race, because no matter what, if they packed it full of fuel, they're good to the finish.
At the very front, we do have the 57 who's starting on the high side. But if you look behind him, that 20 truck, I was saying, you get him on that row behind on a late race restart, see what he's able to do and see if he's able to get around these trucks or put some pressure on them.
Yeah, well, the pressure is starting to build with everybody up in the racetrack. We are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel for the finish of tonight's race. There goes the pace truck. Green flag is back in the air.
And that's a great start by Opplinger again. 57 wasn't able to get quite the run that he wanted to, but 57 did have a push from the 20 truck as Logan Koger is trying to go to that bottom side and make that apron work, not just the low side.
Acorn takes second place away from Rambler. Now it's Fredericks and Rambler battling for P3. The 20 on the outside gets a really nice run out of turn 4.
Well, and they're looking to try and go 3 wide at the back, because as these cautions happen, cautions do breed cautions. And at the end of the race, you have to get everything you can, because you don't know if it's going to be the last opportunity.
Saw a little contact between the 55 and the
they
77.
They are wrecking in the back, hard in the wall. No caution, though.
92 of Dustin Carroll. Oh, wow.
He hit that thing a ton.
By himself,
just
it looks
on his
like.
Own. Yeah, that's that moment you get loose and you just hope that you lock it down. But if you don't lock it down, you're gonna hit that wall. And we have a spin at the front in the 8 truck. Across in the field. Similar moment, got extremely loose on exit, almost had it collected, and then just wrapped himself back up and came up the track.
Somebody who's been up front all race tonight with an incident out of turn 2, and there's the loose. Oh, just an overcorrection, and he gets smacked by the 6, Kyle Miller.
That's a shame for the 6 to be able to come back up through the pack, only to make yourself into the top 5, nearly top 5, and have that happen.
He was your biggest mover of the race. All race, plus 22, plus... It was amazing. That 8 was doing a great job all night tonight, and he loses it coming out of turn 2, and there is a lot of damage on that number 8. Well, let's take a view. Oh, there was a secondary wreck.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. That 69 car didn't get quite on the brakes enough and got into the 32, who just came straight down into the 12, and away they go even more. But I mean, that's the nature of it. Once you're through the wreck, you think you're through and you let off, but there are drivers who still are behind it. And they're more worried about avoiding the wreck than they are slowing down or speeding up their truck. They just have their eye on that car that has spun, and those types of things happen as a repercussion.
Oh yeah, Hunter Hastings a little late on the brakes.
Personally, don't feel it was anything egregious in terms of being late, because he was avoiding that 8 truck that was up against the wall.
Under our 11th caution of the evening with 35 laps to go from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. You're watching All-Star 15 TV's broadcast of race number 9 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Yes, Justin Opplinger has been up front, dominating from qualifying through the whole race. I think anybody else who has led a lap, if you combine them, maybe you get 15 laps. Justin Opplinger, the rest.
Well, and he just put on an absolute clinic, but these other drivers in this race, not to be undone, they have done an outstanding job putting on a show for us. We've been having action throughout the track, whether it be for second, third, and fourth, all the way back in 18th, 19th, and anywhere in between. There has been battle upon battle and action for all of you to be able to watch. And we thank you guys for joining us. As an update, Race Control has given Derek Bighorn in the number 8 car an EOL for an at-fault incident, ultimately a self-spin there, which again, he's collecting the vehicle and no fault of his own, but unfortunately he is at fault.
Well, he's not going to have to go far, unfortunately, because he's back in that 23rd position. Thankfully, he's still on the lead lap.
That's what's absolutely wild, is that we're seeing impacts with these vehicles, and they're not having to stay on pit road for a long period of time. And I think it's due to the fact that if it's optional repairs and it's not mandated repairs, you have that opportunity being a track like this that you don't have to repair it. It's not aero dependent.
Yeah, we're double file, getting ready to go. The pace truck is about to duck down pit road once again. There it goes. And green flag in the air. Here we go again. And some fanning out. Ben 10 gets way out of line.
We can see drivers that were originally battling who have come down pit road just to make sure they've got tires, they've got fuel. Scott Ramley, who was at the front, ultimately came down, and he's in the middle of the pack right now, trying to make his way through as he's going past Paul Irvin.
What's going to be wild is that 57 is going to look like a rocket ship with nowhere to go.
That's exactly it. I mean, we saw it earlier with Daniel Grimm. when you're a rocket ship trying to get everything out of your vehicle, what's the opportunity? It's 3 wide here on the exit. Where's the contact? There is contact.
That's going to bounce Daniel Krim well out of the way.
And that's the risk here, is that as you make your way back through, this is still anybody's race, outside of obviously the leader right now, is that as you come through the pack, your race could be made or break from these little small moments.
Yeah, just look at the difference. Just take a look at the difference, everybody. There's your race leader. Dalton Fredericks by himself. Caleb Bacon by himself. And so is the 72 of Humphreys. But then you start to get all the congestion. And it's really starting to look like I-95. With how much traffic there is and how congested these turns are of trucks. Oh, and there goes the 4. And he is off the racing line. Matt Cochran's going to loop it.
He is barely off the racing line. I would argue that that's almost a racing line. But again, race control is, they got their hands full and they aren't able to see every single moment on every track.
And you mentioned that inside lane, he does bop the 72 during the center of the turn. And he's got to wait for everybody to go by.
Well, and that's one of those moments that have to be able to view it again. We do have a yellow flag as the 54 car has spun on the backstretch.
What happened here?
It looks to be an arrow loose type of moment, and just the 29 after the 54 went around, just finished him off. It's one of those moments where the 29 has nowhere to go when a truck breaks that far loose.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely going to help out Matt Cochran.
And that's one of those challenging calls. And again, giving race control a ton of credit. A call like that, in that instance, the 54 is already going around whether the 29 hits him or not. But it can always be argued from the 54 truck that there was an opportunity to save it and the 29 finished him off. So is it a racing deal, or is it the 29's fault for finishing him off? It is so challenging, and so I want to thank race control again for everything that they do.
So just taking a look at the drivers that have hit pit road: Fredericks, Lamb, Vidal, Kogar, Campigio, Corson, Cochran, Krim, Christopher Opplinger, who, that was the caution, Joe Darnell, Trenton Branson, Hunter Hastings, Derek Bacorn, and Dustin Carroll, all coming down and hitting pit road on lap 147. They are going to have over 25 laps fresher tires than a lot of the drivers in front of them.
And that's just going to create more opportunities for racing and more opportunities for potential mistakes. We've seen, you know, even with Scott Ramler and Daniel Krim side by side, they were in a 3-wide scenario and made pretty extreme contact in the straightaway just off of the car on the high side getting loose. That's the risk that all these drivers are going to face as they make their way back through the pack.
And that's what's really going to be interesting, to see them play, honestly, Tetris up towards the front. I don't know if you're good at Tetris, because I'm not, but...
I'm decent at Tetris, but I'm curious, if you have it readily available, our leader, when was the last time he has hit pit road, if you have it readily available?
Lap 118. Same thing with Caleb Bacon, Humphreys, Turner, and Klein, your top 5, all coming to pit road on lap 118.
Those two absolutely are stretching fuel here at the end. If we come down to our green-white checker scenario, I question if they've saved enough. With the number of cautions we've had, I think it's possible they've saved enough even without a green-white checker, but just barely. Those are going to be ones that I wonder, you know, what is the right strategy? Is what they're doing correct? Is it right to stay out?
Well, here's the thing. We're going to get past a point of no return for some of these drivers where They've made their bed and that's it. They can't change it, or they're gonna come down pit road and maybe they'll get a top 15. And I think that's where we're starting to get into now that we're under 30 laps to go.
Absolutely, and just so that everyone's aware, the last incident was ultimately the second offense for the 54 truck. Ultimately, Race Control having a very tough decision to make, and they opted to go with the side that the 54 truck was already going to be going around, and that the 29 truck's contact did not impact what was going to happen, but just helped it happen quicker. So again, very tough decision for them. I could have seen that go any of those three ways, but that is the decision that's been made.
Yeah, so on your second offense, is that a pass-through?
Correct. I believe so. It would be a pass-through penalty. It is definitely not an EOL. There is a black flag for the 54 truck showing, so that would be what I believe.
And then green flag is back in the air, and Opplinger is gone.
The yellow flag is out.
Oh!
We have a wreck at the back. I can tell you it happened right in front of our other Opplinger.
Looking for the 56 of DeBoer. Ooh, he's going to get smacked by the 8 of Bakhorn. You know, we've talked about it many times tonight on how crazy the checkups are coming to these restarts. And just watch that whole checkup. Boom, boom, boom.
What's wild
boom.
is that the 8 truck ultimately is coming up on this pack, and I don't know where they were supposed to line up, if they were supposed to line up on the high side or line up on the low side. But ultimately, they cut down at the last second after green flag is dropped in front of the 54. And they have a different pace. And ultimately, the back of the pack had a slight checkup. And round the trucks go.
And there it is. Our 13th Elite Entertainment caution of the evening. And you got to give a lot of credit to the sim and how these trucks are put together. We've had a lot of wrecks, a lot of big wrecks that should have taken multiple trucks out of tonight's race. But for the most part, everybody is still running. We only have one truck still on pit road and only 2 trucks a lap down.
I wonder, though, if it's possible for iRacing to ever come out with a model to know what trucks do not have damage, because I think we've only got one on track, and that's that leader out front, as we hear from Race Control, ultimately, that the number 8 of Derek Bakhorn does have a black flag for a second offense causing an incident.
Yeah, that was a hella big stack up coming to the green flag, but he was coming from a pretty good portion back and just didn't lift, or lifted too late. But somebody who I'm really shocked that you mentioned the 51 not having a lot of damage. That 35 of Caleb Bacon still looks pretty good. We've seen Humphrey have an issue or two tonight. Aiden Turner, another one to have a couple issues. Mike Rominger has, for the most part, knock on wood, had a pretty clean race, even though he's been throughout a good portion of this field.
Well, in that 35 truck of Caleb Bacon, rumor inside of the chat, don't know if this is true, big if true, he is running on keyboard tonight. Don't know if that's true, if that was a rumor, but if it is true, quite impressive.
I didn't know you could do that. Like, okay,
possible, so definitely to do it.
Let's jump on. There's no way. Maybe a controller? Maybe?
But I have definitely run Daytona Road Course on a controller and was only about 2 seconds off of my traditional lap time.
Dude, that's even
now,
really
you
good.
call that what it is on a steering wheel and my abilities, but on a controller, though, it's definitely challenging.
Like, I can see a controller being a little twitchy, like we're seeing right now, because we're on board with Caleb Bacon. But I would assume if he was on a keyboard, it's either full turn or not.
You would see immediate inputs, which is why I did jump on board and didn't see it. But if the chat brought it up earlier, I had to at least mention it, and maybe it's a fun question to ask if he was able to pull out a top 3.
Yeah, speaking of that, don't go anywhere. After the finish of tonight's race, we're going to talk to our top 3 drivers. And there goes the pace truck, and we are green again at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And already, as we've seen all race long, the 51 is just separating himself from the rest of the field. As here comes the 72 of Brant Humphrey, trying to take second place away from Caleb Bacon.
Not to take away from the tight racing, but Logan Koger, who's been involved in a lot of the tight racing going on, he's at the back of the pack. You don't have to switch to him or anything, but he did receive restart violation for changing lanes. As we have a wreck, I apologize for pulling you away. It looks like it was a 15 truck, I believe.
Yeah, Aiden Turner, and he is stopped.
He hit that wall a ton.
He's going to send it into turn number 1, and there it goes. Oh! And the motor immediately expired. I don't know if you guys heard that on stream.
That is tough about that spot, is that it is off track enough that iRacing's not going to throw it. As we have a spin in the middle of the track, we got the 47, the 12 truck, the 69 truck, all involved.
Bringing out our 14th caution of the evening.
There's just action everywhere. Well, and AJ, I told you, if I'm the one calling strategy at that stage, calling for a long run race, how often have I been right? When it comes to strategy, not at all.
Let's see what happens here. You see the 12 of Michael Thwaites. Ooh, just getting loose and right into the 47. 4 gets involved, the 69. And you could see the 29 and the 28 also getting involved.
Yeah, there's just not anywhere to go. When they all stack up like that and they all split sideways, you just got to kind of close your eyes, hope you get through it.
Yeah, you can see they were 3 wide on exit at 2. And the 29 and the 28. Big hit for Hunter Hastings.
Well, it looks like there's 2 separate incidents going on. It looks like as that incident was happening between the 12 and the 47, you have Ed Morris Sr. and Joe Darnell. Essentially, Joe pinched into the wall and Lamb pinching Ed Morris up. And so 2 incidents happening at the exact same time.
Oh. Huge hit for the 69.
Well, again, he's just trying to figure out where the cars are and get through it. And unfortunately, that truck he was following got slightly involved and slowed down enough that it's just going to send him around too.
Now, for everybody watching at home, we are running the race back tomorrow just with Xfinity cars. Same bat time, same bat place, 150 laps at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. But Justin Opplinger with 15 laps to go. Got Caleb Bacon right behind him, the 7-2 of Brent Humphreys, the 9 of Mike Rominger bouncing back. Trevor Klein in 5th, 6th. You have Kyle Miller, who was also 3 laps down, bouncing back. Then Scott Ramler in 7th, 8th. Dalton Fredericks, 9th. Paul Irvin. And Caleb Lamb in that 10th position. Now, Caleb has also had some issues tonight, and he's doing a really good job bouncing back into that 10th spot.
Well, and I can let everybody know that Michael Thwaites in the 12 car ultimately was given an EOL for that last caution, ultimately deeming that the contact made a difference and caused the other incident to occur as well.
Lights are off on the iRacing pace truck. We've got the one to go in the 14th Elite Entertainment caution here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Hit that like button, subscribe, follow. Thank you everybody who's been tuning in and everybody who has hit the like button, subscribed, and followed. We're on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok.
And AJ, as we get ready to come to green, who do you believe has what it takes to take on Justin Opplinger?
Oh, so I can't pick him. Got it. Cool. I'm still shooting for the 57 or the 20 to get through these last couple trucks to see if they can make it to the finish. But yeah, with a couple more cautions, who actually knows? And the green flag in the air. Here we go. 13 on the board. So far, so good. Caleb Bacon in that second position, able to utilize that high lane to stay by the 72.
Well, as we got
20
three wide action further down in the back, the 8 and the 47 going 3 wide with the 32. We've got that 8 car trying to make their way up through the field, and it's just nothing but a roadblock in front of them.
Yeah, Dalton makes it up to P5, working over Mike Rominger entering turn 3.
Well, in the way it's been running, my pick, if it's not going to be Opplinger, it's going to be that Bacon man up in the front. Whether he's on a keyboard and mouse, on a controller, whatever it may be, he is holding it up there and he's doing a great job.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job utilizing that high lane to hold on to that position. Oh, as the 9 gets really loose, Caleb Bacon is sideways. And Branson is backwards.
Caleb Lamb was also really loose, which caused a pretty big stack. I'm not sure if that's what caused the 32 to spin.
But I don't know if you've noticed this. On this last run, Opplinger's not driving away like he's done in the past.
The yellow flag is
Oh,
out.
yellow flag is out.
No, he's definitely not driving away.
Oh, they're still wrecking. Gonna jump on the blimp cams to give you guys a bigger look. The 26 clips the 8. Oh, 24 involved the 12, the 69. Go on, Josh Fadal. He's got the 8 to his outside. Honestly, it looks like the 8 kind of just wants to turn before the 26 does.
Yeah, and that was the thing that I saw too. And so admittedly, I jumped right on board with Derek Bakhorn just to see if that truly is what I was seeing. And what we see is he starts turning in at the 2. I don't know if you wanna jump on board with him, and I can walk everybody along.
Yep, here we go.
But ultimately, as he's going, he starts to turn in at the 2 mark, and you don't want to start turning in until you're at the 1 and beginning to brake. And so, being able to turn in early while you're trying to set yourself up to come down the track to potentially do some sort of crossover, there's another truck there. He's not clear. I would put that on a self spin personally, but we'll see what race control says.
Well, this is going to be one heck of a shootout to the finish. Fredericks has made it up to P3, and he's going to start right behind the 51. As we've seen all race tonight, Justin Opplinger has taken the inside on all his restarts.
And to give everyone an update real quick. I know it has not popped up on my screen yet, but I did overhear Race Control say that they are going to be putting that as a third incident on the 8 truck. Ultimately, what my suspicion was also just turned in too early.
Yeah, very unfortunate, because that 8 truck for the majority of the race tonight was in that top 5 doing a really good job, and then once he got put towards the back, kind of all hell broke loose. And if that's his third incident, unfortunately they're going to ask him to park the vehicle.
Yeah, and he's ultimately already disconnected from the server. One thing I do want to point out, though, here, drivers, again, coming back from far back. Kyle Miller, sitting in 6th position, is lining himself up to have a fantastic comeback moment, similar to what ultimately we're seeing Dalton Fredericks be able to do as well, with him running in 3rd. But those 2 drivers, from both being 3rd laps down to run 3rd and 6th, absolutely impressive.
Yeah, and we mentioned it earlier in the race when they got put those multiple laps down, that it was just a matter of time with how the race was going that they were going to be on the lead lap, and with how fast they were running, it was just a matter of time for them to be up in that top 5, top 10 as we're coming to the 1 to go. And we're going to have just about 5 laps to go when we go back green.
Well, you made a great point during that run before the caution came out that Oppinger was not running away from the likes of Caleb Bacon on that run, as we had seen him do previously. So whether that be his stuff is used up a little bit more in line with what Bacon's able to do, and the rest of the pack having more fresher tires, are they able to close that gap? And is this going to be a very intense finish? We'll just have to see.
Yeah, so the 51 and the 35 both last pit on 118. Dalton Fredericks on 147. Kyle Miller on 138, and Scott Ramler 138. Mike Rominger 123. So your top 2 still the oldest tires of the bunch. There goes the pace truck, and we are green once again. Outside lane, not with a great restart. Humphrey very slow. As Fredericks is pushing Bacon out of
We have a
the
spin
turn.
on the backstretch, 29 truck. Looked like the 29 truck got hooked into the wall.
Oh, the 28 gets loose, clips the 29, nowhere for the 26 to go.
Well, and even after the fact, it's good heads-up driving. That 54 truck of the other Alpinger had to get down the track pretty quickly. Did make contact with the 28 truck, but both of them kept it together as they were avoiding that wreck.
And there is a lot of damage on the front of that 29 and the right side of the 29 of Joe Darnell.
That truck's been in a couple of incidences tonight, which I don't believe any of them were his fault if I look at my records correctly. No penalties. That one ultimately, I believe, probably will not be his penalty either. But he has definitely been hit by everything on the track.
Well, if one thing is going to be good from the 29 truck, the left side doesn't need repairing.
Well, that's good. And that, what I'm hearing ultimately, so the 28 of Ed Morris Sr. came over the mic and apologized. His screen went black, which ultimately is what occurred, which is why we don't see his truck get extremely loose. But ultimately on exit, you just start misjudging that turn, and that makes total sense for your screen going black.
I normally don't hear about that. I've heard a couple times with people that drive in VR where their headset goes dark for like a second. Not normally with a screen.
sometimes your screen can go absolutely black. There's a situation where if you have a 60-pound golden doodle who decides to step on your Ethernet cord, your screen can go absolutely black and you have no idea why. That's possible that happened to him, because I know it happened to me earlier tonight.
And we are on our first green-white checkered attempt of the evening. We get 2 of them. That's it. Now here's the thing. Do you think we end it under green, Brandon? The way these last 30 laps have gone, do you think we end the race under green?
Well, remind me of the rule. Do we have 1 attempt?
2.
How many attempts do we have? We got 2 attempts. I think that we see the first attempt go to caution, and I think that the second attempt goes green.
Stay tuned, everybody. When this race goes checkered, we will talk to our podium drivers. See Caleb Bacon warming up those tires, keeping them as fresh as he can. But Dalton Fredericks in that 3rd position with the freshest tires out of the top 5.
Well, I know we've had a lot of cautions, but I can't help but wonder with a 118, did we really have enough that they saved enough fuel, not just for 1 green-white checker, but what if we have 2? Did they
I think
actually
we're
save
good.
enough?
I honestly think we're good.
I was never that good at saving fuel, so
Neither
I'll
was
take
I.
your word for it.
Neither was I.
Someone gave him that Joey Logano fuel tank.
No, the really long, fueling hose that holds an extra pound, not pound, but gallon.
I think they forgot to put that hose into Alex Bowman's car, so that's why he was underweight.
Yeah, there you go. That poor guy. Well, here we go. First green-white checkered attempt. Pace truck is off.
Green flag.
And green flag in the air. Great launch from the 51. A good launch from the 35 and the 20. Oh, Dalton is...
Oh, he is feeling it. And I think that's exactly what Opplinger needed. He needed somehow to ensure that those cars behind him. There's the first wreck, and it's at the front of the pack. Cars involved, absolutely slamming the wall, sitting in the track. Chaos.
Oh, that was a big one.
That's the word. That was massive.
Wow.
Now, what occurred on that one?
Rambler goes to put it 4 wide. A very unusual Scott Rambler incident. The 57
ultimately
puts it 4 wide. Clips the 72 across the 20 and the 6. And we're not done with the wrecking.
It's ultimately a hole that, at some tracks, you got to take it when you have it. And at a track like this, that hole is just going to close up without a moment's notice. It may stay open, but as you're getting ready to enter a corner so quickly, those 2 cars at the bottom got to come up. And if it's not announced that he's up there, which is his last second move, it's going to happen.
Yeah, and the 57 has a crew chief tonight.
Well, another part of it also is the 72 moves up at the last second. So the 72 went from having about a half to a quarter car length above him, or car width, to having maybe an eighth of one. At the same time, the 20 and the 5 car drop down the track a little bit. And what happens is they put their gaps back together where they were as the 57 comes in. So again, just that hole closing up.
Yeah, that's going to take out a good chunk of cars or trucks. Oh.
Well, a lot of them were good trucks. I mean, Kyle Miller was having a fantastic night coming back. He's going to be taken out. That's what happens when you're at the front of the pack. You have those drivers that just are going to be unfortunately taken out after a long night of racing with nothing to show for it. And I can let you all know that Race Control has deemed the 57 at fault will receive an EOL for the contact.
Big wreck out, and this is it. We're gonna go green, and next, whether it's a caution or the checkered flag, that's gonna be it. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Justin Opplinger, out of the 185 laps or whatever that we're gonna end up running tonight, if he's gonna lead at least 165, if not 170.
Here's the difference about this restart. So ultimately, Dalton is going to be able to have the opportunity to start his choice on the second row as opposed to what he is given. So what Opplinger needs, he needs somehow for Caleb Bacon and for Dalton to get side by side like what happened last time and be able to make that run happen. That's what's going to save him this race and ensure that his dominant performance doesn't go for nothing.
Yeah, because Dalton's going for the lead. So is Caleb. So is everybody else in the top 5. But Dalton's got the freshest tires, but he hasn't been able to use them with how many wrecks we've had.
But we saw him try and use it last time. We saw how squirrely it got, and it caused the largest stack up, which brought us to this caution.
Yeah, he lucked out that there was a wreck because he was going backwards and backwards fast.
I'm excited. I'm a little bit giddy over here as to what's going to happen. I just want to see a good finish.
Yeah, so do I. And I think everybody at home also wants to just see a good finish. Very deserving to be that 51, but just because you deserve it doesn't mean you're going to end up with it. Here goes the pace truck for the final time this evening. Green flag in the air. Oh, and that inside lane with a good restart for the both of them. Dalton should be able to take P2 away here.
That 35 car got a jump and had to back off, and that's allowed Justin to be able to get this opportunity. And Justin sees behind him what he does not want to see is that Dalton Fredericks truck right in his mirror for another lap and a half.
Yeah, coming out of turn number 4. Do we get to the white flag?
Well, and you can see Justin is wheeling it.
Yes, we do. White flag in the
definitely
air.
on loose tires.
Brought to you by the Wrestling with Nerds podcast. Ooh, 51
He is
a little
straight
squirrely.
sideways. Does the 51 hold on to it here? Is he too loose? This is going to come down to the final turn.
Through 3 and 4 for the final
Contact!
time.
Oh!
And Caleb Bacon? Does Caleb Bacon win?
Was that Caleb Bacon?
Did they really just
Do we
give it
have
to
a
Caleb?
Bacon finish? Oh my goodness. I am speechless, and I apologize. As a broadcaster, I should not be speechless. But at the end there, when there's a little bit of contact and that leader starts to go around, you just don't know who's going to take it. And
Caleb
all the cars
Bacon
are trying
is
to come
going
forward.
to be your winner tonight. I thought Dalton was gonna rough up, I guess, the 51, not rough up, but give a bump. But he gives one hell of a bump to the 50. Well, let's actually back this up so you guys can see it a little bit better. We'll jump on the blimp cam. There's the 20 bump and immediately gets off. Dalton looks like he was just going to kind of give up the position. I don't know. Wow.
For the view that I'm seeing on this, and I have a far chase view on it, what I'm seeing here is that ultimately the 51 truck, he's been loose on these last few runs, and he gets slightly loose, and the 20 truck is trying to time to be able to get a run onto him, and the 51 car has to do a slight twitch to correct it, and as that happens, it slows down the momentum and makes the contact much more severe than what he wanted. And Dalton ultimately, he lets off immediately. His intention is not to make that happen and wants to ensure that the 51 has a chance to save it. But ultimately, you can't just slam on the brakes and check up the entire field. you have to keep going and allowing the 35 truck to move forward.
Wow, what a finish. Well, we finished it under green. Caleb Bacon comes away with the win. Dalton Fredericks in second. Paul Irvin in third. But let's talk about those final race standings before we talk to our podium finishers. That's not it. Why is it showing Dalton the race leader?
I am also showing Dalton as the race leader, and I'm uncertain as to why. We may have to get confirmation.
Can you drop down somewhere and get or go up to race control if you can, because I have Caleb Bacon everywhere, and we even saw him cross the line, the leader.
Absolutely. One moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take a quick commercial break to get confirmation. We will be right back.
If you can move me into race control.
Yeah,
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
RICMOTECH, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, RICMOTECH.com.
From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
All right, everybody, sorry for the confusion here tonight. Unfortunately, the race results screen is kind of wrong. Caleb Bacon is your race leader. Dalton Fredericks did finish second, and Paul Irvin did finish in that third position. But let's talk to our podium drivers, and starting with the driver, the number 48, Paul Irvin, rebounding to come home in that third spot. Dude, how does it feel, and how was the truck tonight?
Oh, what did I say last week about New Hampshire? I somehow find a way to finish good, even though I tend not to run well here.
Yeah.
Here we are again, freaking podium. Sorry, podium. I don't know how. Definitely didn't have a podium place car or truck. Lucked out on some strategy, some track position, and some wreck avoidance there at the end, and I consider myself lucky to get out of here with a third place, barring any controversy that's here at the end of the race.
Yeah, it was a wild race towards the finish, and you were not in a podium position going into turn 3, but you exited turn 4 with one. After tonight, we have next week off for Thanksgiving, but then we go to Talladega to close out the regular season. Are you looking forward to Talladega?
I'm not, honestly. That's going to be a race that I ride and mind my business. I got to have a couple clean races here. Managed to have a clean one here today. Need another one here in a couple weeks at Dega to get off the naughty list. So just gonna be quiet. I'm already locked in to the playoffs based on points, so no need to ruffle any feathers that way. So no, not looking forward to it. But if I manage to be up there in the front in the end, so be it. I feel like I've used all my luck this week for all that.
All right, dude, before we let you go, plug those beautiful sponsors you got.
Yeah, obviously, I always shout out Dustin Carroll for the paint scheme. Oh, my beautiful face on the front of the truck, smiling at you every week in and week out. Shout out to them for the team. Let me on the team with Darnell and Matt. Had some good runs going today. Unfortunately, it feels like again just caught up in other people's messes. But we'll get them rebounded here at Dega here in a couple of weeks. Shout out obviously to you up in the booth. Let us be able to watch these races, and shout out to XTREME, everybody at XTREME for letting us run week in and week out.
All right, dude. Well, hopefully we get to talk at Talladega. But good job tonight, and have a nice week off.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, Brandon, you are up. Here is the 20 of Dalton Fredericks.
Awesome. Dalton, you got us here in the booth. You got a copy on us?
I do.
Awesome. Well, I know at the very end of the race, you were able to fall into that second place position. However it happens, I know it sucks to be on either end, but can you walk us through what happened there at the very end, the content that took place, and just feedback on the race overall?
Yeah, we had a really fast All-Star 15 TV Ford F-150, and we started the race 3 laps down. Had some headset issues where it went black when I came back, and I wasn't able to get into the race before the start. So we were able to get back onto the lead lap there in stage 1, and we were able to make our way to the front towards the end, and yeah, we had really hard racing there at the end. Just think a little bit of mishap or something happened. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know what the call is for who won, who got second, all that good stuff, because apparently iRacing threw a penalty on Bacon on the restart, so that's why it's not showing him as the winner. So I don't know the results yet, but yeah, great racing, really fun. Glad we were able to come back after our mishap at the beginning of the race.
Absolutely, and mind you, obviously, all results will be reviewed at the end, and this is the initial podium finishers that we believe, as well as then in talking to race control and just an initial look. So looking forward to next week at Talladega, what do you have on your plate, and anything else that you want to shout out?
Yeah, usually Talladega is one of my strong suits. It's a restrictor plate, and I'm really good at drafting there, and hopefully we can find some partners with Krim, Josh, maybe Scott too. Go ahead and work together and see if we can't train our way to the front and control the race. That'd be the best, but we'll just have to play it by ear. But yeah, I'd like to thank All Star 15 TV for sponsoring the car. Nerds doing nerd things. Team GTS, Krim, Jake Zido. Again, thanks Jake for last night for helping me with getting the win there on the road side of XMS. I'd like to thank BMS, Fry Trucking, JVM Graphics, HPC Custom Computers, Hold on, I got a couple more. Give me a second, boys.
Gotta take the list out of the pocket.
We also got AC Ages. We also have Hard AF Seltzer. So go check them all out. Thank you guys for broadcasting. Hopefully it was a pretty entertaining race. I know it was a bit caution filled there at the end, unfortunately, but it kind of helped us out there with that last pit stop. But hopefully a good race.
Absolutely, definitely a great race. Thanks for joining us up here, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Awesome. See you guys.
All right, Dalton Fredericks finishing in that second position, and we're going to talk to the unofficial winner of tonight's race, the driver of the number 35, Caleb Bacon, coming out of turn 4 with the lead after the scrum from the 20 and 51. Caleb, were you on a controller this evening?
No, I'm actually on a different setup here at a different house. I'm on my old wheel and pedal set, but I guess you could say that I was on a controller this evening because it was a lot different to get used to with just everything being so much different and not at my setup that I'm normally at.
Yeah, we looked on your onboard a couple times, and it looked very, very twitchy, like you were just trying to get used to whatever you were working with. But as I said when we pulled you up here, unofficial winner so far. Talk about your race, pal.
Yeah, I mean, I was just kind of trying to go into this race and just ride around and just kind of let the wrecks happen because I was figuring this was going to be a very big wreck race and a caution filled, if you will. So I just kind of went into it trying to ride around and just gather as many points as I could. And luckily it turned out in our favor in the end with all of the overtimes, or what you'd call it, the green-white checkers, and the pit strategies just worked out.
Yeah, we have next week off to enjoy Thanksgiving. Then we're going to Talladega to close out the regular season. What are we expecting from you and the 35 team at Talladega to possibly try to one last dash to the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, we're not in a must-win situation anymore, thankfully, to that win at Canadian Tire earlier this year. But obviously, we'll go into that race and just pretty much avoid as many wrecks as we can and hopefully be there at the end to carry over as many points as we can into the playoffs, and hopefully we can continue fighting for a championship.
Yeah, dude, great job overall tonight. You were up front 99% of the race tonight. But congratulations, and talk about the wonderful people you have on board of the 35 Toyota Tundra.
Yeah, the Axis Racing Toyota Tundra is rolling pretty good tonight. All the guys over at the team, we almost had a really good team night with almost all of our cars in the top 5. So we almost had a really good night for team points and stage points. So yeah, we'll just keep going and head into Talladega, and hopefully we can replicate the same again, but I'll finish this time.
All right, dude. Well, congratulations on the win, and hopefully we get to talk to you at Talladega next week.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Caleb Bacon, your race winner this evening. Brandon, take us home.
Yeah, ultimately, we got to see a lot of great racing throughout the night, side-by-side action, contact, and it got squirrely at the end. And ultimately, it leaves you wondering, what could have been for some drivers and what could have been still. We still have essentially an unofficial finish. They are still in the process of reviewing, it is my understanding. So we may have a different result at the end of this, but at the end of the day, these drivers raced their heart out and put on a fantastic show for us, which is all we can ask for.
Yeah, for everybody at home, stay tuned to the All-Star 15 TV Facebook page. When we get the final word, we will make a post. But thank you everybody for tuning in. It was an absolute blast to see our YouTube chat completely blow up throughout the whole night. But other than that, thank you guys. Brandon, thank you for coming in clutch tonight for broadcasting with me. Can't wait to have Gary back up in the broadcast booth in 2 weeks at Talladega. For everybody watching at home, hit that like button, subscribe, follow, and stay safe throughout the holiday week. Bye, everybody.
RICMOTECH, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, RICMOTECH.com.